Last week, Daniel Knight took the win at Pocono after a tough break on a pit stop during a caution left Bradley Holly mired in the mid-pack. While Bradley still retains the points lead going into tonight's short track race, will Daniel Knight be able to keep up the momentum? Will Holly bounce back with another win? Or will a new challenger rise to the fore and dethrone our championship contenders? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, sponsored by Diecast Kings. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lundgren, and joining me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Our director tonight will be Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Last week I said we were going to Indianapolis, and while that's technically correct, Lucas Oil Speedway is not the Indy track most people think of, but it can still host an awesome race. To find out why, let's go down to our track guy.
Lucas Oil Raceway, formerly known as Indianapolis Raceway Park, sits about a 7-mile drive up Crawfordsville Road from the legendary Brickyard. The list of names that have run here since the oval track opened in 1961 is about as long and distinguished as the names that adorn the Borg Warner Trophy. Lucas Oil Raceway was a stepping stone, a building block, to get a chance to taste that milk in Victory Lane at IMS. But don't let that fool you. The racing here can be just as intense. The 12 degrees of banking, the shape of the turns, mean that this 0.69 mile short track is one of those that the High Line became famous at. The long way around is the fast way at Lucas Oil Raceway. As what happened to the big house down the street, stock cars became more prevalent in the 1990s. NASCAR Grand National and trucks made regular stops here the weekend of the 400 well into the 2000s. But stock cars have waned in recent years, with now only ARCA being the main stock car show at the Speedway. Now, into the 2020s, we at GSRC echo the legendary Dave Despain on ESPN that turned the spotlight on Midwest open wheel racing, and we get ready to call this race at Lucas Oil Raceway.
There you saw a couple of laps around this severely underrated raceway, and there you see a little bit of shot of Stephen Dale cheering on the guys tonight. And Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this fantastic race course?
Well, Adam, this is one of my favorite racetracks in the whole country. It's a 0.686 mile short track. 12 degrees of banking is what it says on paper. But the biggest thing here, this track is raced a little bit differently than most. You're going to see the drivers up near the top of the track running against the fence through the corners. That's the quick way around this track. And the driver that can make his truck work a little bit lower on the banking is going to be the one that gets to the front.
Yeah, these drivers are definitely going to be really challenged here. We saw a lot of setup differences between these drivers, but before we get to them, we do want to talk about our sponsors tonight. We have our season sponsor, which is Diecast Kings. Shop Diecast Kings, your home for the best selection of NHRA, NASCAR, and this season they're doing IndyCar diecasts as well. Pick up yours today at diecastkings.com. They also have a sponsor for the league, which is the ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Visit the ButtKicker today to view their full line of products. Now, another thing we have going on tonight is the points. And things are very tight at the top of the point standings for sure. Bradley Holly and Daniel Knight both have taken wins, but Bradley has a couple more points than Daniel Knight due to a couple of the bonus point opportunities. So Bradley Holly with 95 points, about 3 points ahead of Daniel Knight. Adam Zemke only 9 points back. Charles Sumner and Jared Mogard just separated by 1 point themselves as they are tucked in there in the 4th and 5th positions. This standings is very close at the front, but Daniel Knight and Bradley Holly definitely have a league ahead right now. And Chris, what do we got with the teams tonight?
Well, a lot of the same up front. We have the Whataback Jelly Rolls Racing squad out in front, but just 6 markers back is that Car Ramrod team. And then only another 4 markers back is the Ride and Shotgun Rangers. So your top 3 teams right now are very close together. And with the Whataback Back Row Racing squad only 14 points out, keeping this championship alive as well for them. So a lot of very close competition in the team side.
Definitely very close up there. And for those of you who are just joining us, this race, this is going to be round 3 of 10 for the NASCAR, for the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. They're racing the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Series trucks. That includes they have a Chevy, a Toyota, and a Ford here. We have 115 laps in this race, or 1 hour, whatever comes first, and they only get 24X, but I don't expect them to hit that tonight. They do get 100% fuel around here, but they only get 3 extra sets of tires, which hopefully shouldn't be a factor in this race as well, and no spare truck as well. We also do have a race sponsor for tonight, and that is going to be the Ford Entertainment Group PC. They are offering sim racing PCs for every budget, whether you're just getting started or you're ready for that monster machine or anything in between. We got your budget covered. Over 3,000 iRacers currently run FEG PCs, including some iRacing staff. So get yours today using the contact page over at www.fegpc.net. All right, still 4 minutes left of practice to go. Looks like the drivers are lining up for a little bit of a pit party. And we've seen a lot of trouble on this track so far today with trying to keep things clean on these mock restarts, Chris.
Yeah, it's looked a lot like maybe the setup, it's a fixed setup, so drivers don't have a ton of input on it, and looks like it's been not the most fun to drive around this track. Looks like it likes to snap loose off the corners, and that's never a fun thing at a track like this.
Yeah, so this is not the start of the race. This is a practice start for these guys. They're just trying to make sure that they get acclimatized to racing around one another at a track like this. Now, it was a little bit of a confusion as to which Indianapolis track we were going to this week, and they managed to correct that just a little bit before the end of last week. So the truck drivers may have a little bit less practice than they normally would on this track, but as you can see, everyone behaving pretty well out there for this particular practice start. But yeah, it's very challenging out there. And one of the things adding to the challenge, Chris, is the weather. Why don't you talk to us about that right now?
Yeah, it's hot. 120 degrees that track is right now, and that's going to make for slick conditions with already loose trucks out there, which is going to make things pretty difficult for these drivers. The ambient temperature is relatively low at 78 degrees, but that 55% humidity is something to keep in mind too, as there's a lot of moisture up in the air.
You know, moisture up in the air can end up getting on the tires and not really helping you get much traction. But right now in practice, Thomas Sink currently leads it with Daniel Knight just a couple of 100ths off of him. Bradley Hawley about the same distance behind in third position. So Thomas Sink, he's been strong all season, but he's just been lacking a little bit of consistency.
Yeah, that's one of those things in a class like this with so many drivers. Really, it's a big factor that goes into your success is going to be luck, and Thomas Sink has had very little of that this season.
Yeah, he has had very little luck for sure. Our race at Pocono was mired by many cautions, and we do have multiple drivers with caution points on their record. Now, none of them got multiple caution points in a race, which means that none of them will end up with penalties. So, once again, they do have to keep in mind those caution points and how that's going to possibly affect them or give them a race suspension going forward if they're not careful.
Not to mention, but I do believe they also have bonus points on the board as well if you manage to go through a race with no caution points.
Yeah, so all those drivers who accrued caution points did not get the 3 bonus points for having a clean race, and that will definitely affect your points standing. So plenty of incentives to have a clean race. And with about 1:20 left in practice, we are about to hop into qualifying, and if the single shot closed qualifying is kind of a confusing affair, one thing to keep your eyes on is our live timing and scoring that is at GSRC.tv. Take a look there if you want to keep track of who has the provisional pole at any given moment, because with only 5 minutes of qualifying to go and only 2 laps, those standings can change pretty quick.
Yeah, and if you're somebody like me that's trying to commentate on a race and has limited screen space, that GSRC.tv, easy enough for me to say, works great on your phone, so you can monitor that. Just basically the same timing and scoring screen that we use behind the scenes here at GSRC is available for you for free, which you can't beat that price.
Definitely can. You also can't beat the amount of information it gives you as far as keeping up with what's going on track. But with 20 seconds left to go in practice, we're about to start qualifying, and we'll see whether or not there's been any temperature differences on track and how that's going to affect these drivers. But I don't know, Chris. Looks like Bradley Holly and Daniel Knight are very strong in practice. Who do you think is going to take the pole today?
I definitely think Thomas Sink and Daniel Knight are probably going to be our top two contenders, not just because they're at the top of practice, but those guys have both been incredibly fast in the earlier races this season. And I think this track kind of suits their driving styles both pretty well. So I'd say it's going to be a fight between those two. And of course, you can't count out Bradley Holly. And there's always somebody that might catch you a little bit off guard. Tristan Callahan, very fast. Colton Lane could be a threat. And don't forget the U-Car of Jared Mogard could sneak up in there as well.
Well, we have had some cloud cover come over this track here, which has definitely decreased the temperatures down to 109 from 120. So that's going to be affecting their qualifying times for sure, as our first cars are already out there. Our first trucks, rather, are already out there starting to set times. John LaBeouf, Baron Hilton, Daniel Knight, all out there setting times. And here is the 62 of Mark Kaling.
Ooh, looks like he tagged the wall there. That's definitely an issue that you could have at this track pretty easy. The preferred line is up against that outside wall, but unfortunately that can reach out and grab you a little bit.
Doyle Lawrence, another one of our new drivers for this season, driving a fantastic looking Diecast Kings machine right there. And here's Christopher B. Williams coming around, and our first lap is actually from Daniel Knight, who sets a 22.713, which will stand as provisional pole as the first drivers start to come around. John LaBeouf, another driver who's going to be coming around to set a time soon. Nicholas Schwartz, another driver coming around, and it looks like Aaron Webb up to the second position. Colton Lane up to third.
Yeah, these times are coming in hot and heavy. I kind of thought it would be a kind of land rush at the beginning of this one with the cloud cover on the track. These guys are all going to want to get their laps in before the clouds move out and the track heats up.
And that's already happening, so those drivers who have waited a little bit longer might be caught out a little bit here. Thomas Sink out there for his laps as we're taking a look at him. Christopher B. Williams crosses the line, good enough for 14th position with the 23.9.09. And so it'll be interesting to see whether or not Thomas Sink jumps to the top of the leaderboard, considering the fact that the sun has come back out and started to increase that track temperature.
It's going to make it a lot harder to put a fast lap down, especially the longer the track sits out in the sun. So those guys that may have waited a little bit later on in the session to put their lap in may be kicking themselves right now.
And Thomas Sink did set a time good enough for second position, but he slid out of corner number 2, which means he will not get a second lap in. So he will stay in second unless someone else can dethrone him. But Bradley Holly has yet to set a time. Brett Adams coming across the line with a 22.869. And that will be good enough for 7th place. And here's Bradley Holly, 4th place for him right now. And look, Blaine Adams jumping to the top spot. A fantastic late run for him.
Yeah, Blaine Adams putting down a bad fast lap there. Also, I do want to point out that of that top 7 runners, I think 4 or 5, or top 8, I should say, 4 or 5 of them were people that I mentioned during the pre-race show.
So interestingly enough, Bradley Holly ran identical times in his first and second laps, but that will only be good enough for 6th position as Tristan Callahan jumps up to the 3rd spot as well. Matthew Aubrey yet to set times. He crosses the line to start his first lap. We still have a minute 40 left in qualifying, so plenty of time for these drivers to set other laps. Tristan Callahan's second lap will not be faster, and he will remain in 3rd.
I will say, as kind of a nerd for this stuff, how cool it is when a driver runs identical laps. Statistically, when you're timing to the 1,000th of a second like we do here on iRacing, at least what we display on iRacing, it's such a cool feat to be able to get it all together like that.
Yeah, that just shows just how consistent Holly is. Definitely. Matthew Aubrey really struggling with the setup of the machine. He cannot get the thing to turn in the center of the corner. And it's showing in his times, unfortunately. Currently 21st on the board with a 23.061. Let's see what his second lap is. It is going to be a little bit slower, unfortunately. And it looks like
this is a tough setup we have here today, Adam, and it's kind of reflective in the way some of these drivers are struggling.
It looks like that will be all of our qualifiers. If somebody is able to jump out there on track, it would be Adam Young who would be our last truck to qualify if he was able to get out there, but he'd have to start a lap right about now. So unfortunately, he will not be getting out there, and that means our grid will be finalized. And that will mean that Blaine Adams will take pole position tonight for the race here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Daniel Knight will start off in second position. Tristan Callahan starting off in third. Then we have Thomas Sink in the fourth spot. Jared Morgard in the U Machine starting off in fifth with Bradley Hawley alongside him in that outside lane. That'll be very interesting. Brendan Chatley starting off seventh and Aaron Webb on eighth. Colton Lane's going to start off ninth position, and Brandon Walter will start off in 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 is going to be Brett Adams starting 11th on the grid with Charles Sumner to his outside. Row number 7 is going to see Adam Zemke and Mike Richter. In the 8th row is John LaBaff and Adam Shane. Then Doyle Lawrence and Doug Evans composing row number 9. Austin Hunter and Nicholas Hunter will complete the top 20.
Matthew Aubrey will start off 21st with Baron Hilton in 22nd. Mark Kalen's going to start off 23rd position with Christopher B. Williams starting alongside him in 24th. Nicholas Schwartz will start off 25th. Then we have Brody Green and Adam Young rounding out your 27 truck field. Matthew Williford will not start the race due to a penalty he incurred in the last race.
Great look there at the Lucas Oil Raceway drag strip, home of the U.S. Nationals for the NHRA.
Yeah, this facility is a fantastic one. It's like I said, it's an underrated facility for sure. And when I was visiting Indianapolis to go watch the Indy 500 a couple of years ago, I loved hearing the roar of the cars at night as they went around the short track. It was one of the most refreshing sounds I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, it's an integral part to Indianapolis racing culture. Obviously, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway carries so much history to it, but you really can't discount just what Raceway Park has really meant to the history of racing in the Indianapolis area.
And so many drivers have dreamed of jumping the fence and heading over to Indianapolis Motor Speedway from these hallowed grounds. And it's awesome to be able to capture that feeling here in iRacing.
It's definitely great. And I mean, you think of all the drivers that have come through the USAC ranks that have, or even the NASCAR ranks that have their fingerprints all over this track over the decades. I mean, every name that is anything in stock cars or open wheel racing has at one point or another turned laps here at Raceway Park.
So we have the Ford Mustang pace car that's going to be leading us today on the pace laps as he pulls off of pit lane. Blaine Adams will be the first out, and it's a very tight pit exit for these drivers, so they're going to take it mostly single file for them as we get a beautiful dolly shot there provided by Dougie Beard. And it's a fairly short pace lap. I'm pretty sure we'll get 2 around here, Chris. Is that correct?
I believe you are correct. It is a pretty small track, just under 3/4 of a mile, and these pace laps will click off pretty quick, which is a nice refreshing turn after what we sat through at Pocono last week.
So I guess the question then to you, Chris, would be, is this one of those racetracks where you want to save your tires early on in the race? Because that seems to be the nature of these trucks. Or is this one that you can really go all out from the top and really gain positions that way?
Well, I think you're putting a little less stress on the tires when you run up towards the top. And the best way to pass here is to be able to make something work on the inside line. But when you're putting that much stress on the tires, it gets a little bit challenging to keep them underneath you. So it's going to be a mixed bag of strategies, and you're really going to have to weigh your options here.
So the Mustang pace car has already pulled off because the pit road entry is on the entry of turn 3, and Blaine Adams will lead them to the line. He's going to wait until they get onto the front straight here and then decide where he's going to go. The green flag is out, and Blaine Adams makes the jump. He's actually going to get passed on the outside by Daniel Knight, who's going to carry a decent amount of speed into the corner. Whoa, that's Tristan Callahan getting a little bit loose on the inside in that multicolored machine, but Daniel Knight with great speed off the corner is going to be able to make Blaine Adams tuck in behind him. Blaine Adams still on the low side trying to make the pass.
We mentioned it a couple times in the pre-race show, Adam. This track is a upper groove track. That's the preferred line, is up against the wall. And unfortunately, Blaine Adams found that out the hard way when starting on the inside. He had to give up that preferred line, and Daniel Knight was able to make the pass and take the lead.
77, Tristan Callahan having a little bit of issues. We're going to look at the back of Daniel Knight because Blaine Adams is really pounding him right now, trying to get him back that lead position. Blaine showing some impressive speed here. The rest of the field is pretty much nose to tail, and we have contact in the background. Mike Richter and Brett Adams with major contact going into the wall, and this one did not seem necessary, but they are going to stay green as we continue racing. Mike Richter trying to hang on to that machine.
Well, Blaine Adams in that second spot right now, Adam, he is really pushing it. I don't think that's probably his best bet here early in the running. I feel like he's obviously very fast right now, but I think he might want to bide his time a little bit instead of using up his equipment here in the very first run.
More trucks having troubles. Adam Shane in the back of the field also having trouble. He's coasting towards the entry of turn one. He's going to try and get off track, but this means that we're hopefully going to stay green as we continue going. Blaine Adams, like you said, showing extreme speed right now, trying to hound the back of Daniel Knight and have him make a mistake.
That's probably the second best option on making a pass here at Lucas Oil Raceway is intimidating the person in front of you and maybe forcing their hand and causing them to make a mistake and give you the opportunity to make a pass for position.
So the top 12 trucks are all out there single file, and then it's about 2.5 seconds back to Nicholas Hunter in 13th position, where there's a little bit more battling going on from 15th on back. But these lead trucks are all single file right now, and they've got a long way to go. It's 115 laps around here. We're taking a look at Mike Richter battling right now with Doug Evans and Doyle Lawrence up ahead of him as well. So quite a cluster of trucks back here.
Yeah, this is a real bee's nest right now towards the middle of the pack with these drivers just too wide for position, which again is a bold strategy here early on.
It's definitely a much slower way around the track. Ooh, whoa, that's major contact. That's going to be Richter going around. That's not Richter. That was Austin Hunter going around. Unfortunately, that was Mike Richter. My correction there. Mike Richter going around there. That's going to bring out our first caution of the day because he had to stop it on track. And Richter was involved in our first incident on track as well, and this one almost rinse and repeat of that. So Richter with major contact, just getting a little bit of contact there on the left rear quarter panel, ending up spinning him out towards the outside wall.
Yeah, it almost looked to me like Baron Hilton made a little bit of a dive down up the inside of the track, and the truck didn't want to really settle and kind of pushed up into him.
So we are under the caution flag here at Lucas Oil Speedway. Another two other trucks that had issues were Aaron Webb and Adam Shane. They are back in 26th and 27th position. Adam Shane with major damage that he's getting repaired. Aaron Webb managed to keep it on the lead lap, so he'll be the last car on the last truck rather on the lead lap. But Daniel Knight leading, Blaine Adams in second, Thomas Sink to third, Tristan Callahan back to fourth, and Jared Mogard in the U car in fifth.
What a tough break for Aaron Webb. Probably had one of his best qualifying appearances, starting off 8th, and unfortunately all that getting erased as he has to move to the back of the grid. So a tough break for Aaron Webb, but hopefully he can fight back.
Yeah, and Chris, this looks like a very difficult place to pass at, especially with that outside lane being preferred. What's the best way to get around somebody here?
You either got to have a truck that'll work on the inside or hope the person in front of you makes a big mistake. And there is also that secret weapon you can tuck into your back pocket, where you just run into the person in front of you and hopefully send them for a ride. Not wreck them, but send them for a ride.
The damaged Mike Richter will come to the pits and get some repairs done. That will push Aaron Webb up one more position to 24th position. And like we said before the race, if you're having trouble keeping up with the action and around a short track like this, no one's going to blame you for that. Jump on board to GSRC.tv to take a look at our timing and scoring and keep up to date with your favorite driver no matter where they are in the pack. The truck's still single file now, and one update is that Bradley Holly is still in the 6th position. This is our current championship leader. Daniel Knight, our current leader of the race, is 2nd in the championship, and this could vault Daniel Knight up to the lead of the championship if they were to finish as is.
Yeah, just 3 markers between Knight and Holly coming into this one. So if Daniel Knight's able to hang on to that top spot, this will definitely be pretty big for his championship hopes.
So the Mustang pace car crosses the line, and the lights will stay on, unfortunately, for the drivers and for us. It means one more lap of pacing, and it's just fascinating to see how these trucks have handled this start, considering we saw so much chaos in practice. It's good to see that everyone pretty much being able to sort out how to handle these trucks, but they definitely are doing slower lap times than they were in practice, whereas the laps were around 22.5s and 22.3s. Now in the race, the best lap that we have out there is a 22.843, and that is from our leader, Daniel Knight.
Well, the track has leveled off temperature-wise a little bit between what we saw in qualifying and what we saw in practice. It's around 114 degrees, which is still pretty hot, but a bit of a middle ground between what we had earlier.
All right, so the Mustang pace car peels off into pit lane. Daniel Knight is going to have control of the field. Let's see how he handles this one, because Blaine Adams handled it differently, and he powers it out before they even exit 4 and is able to jump up ahead of Blaine Adams. Blaine being challenged by Thomas Sink on the low side, who's going to send it into the corner and try and do a slide job, but he can't quite close the door. Blaine Adams gives it to him anyway, and that's going to put Thomas Sink up to 2nd place.
Well, great move by Thomas Sink to take over that position. Looks like Adams having a little bit of trouble backing up his speed in qualifying. He's given up a couple spots in the race, but it's Jared Mogard in that 3rd spot that I'm going to want to keep an eye on. He's a tough-nosed, aggressive racer, and I think what we've seen from him in the past would indicate that a short track really suits his style.
These drivers are definitely showing how tough it is to turn through the center of the corner with this setup right now. These trucks not wanting to get the nose down towards the center of the corner, and we're seeing a lot of trucks rubbing that right rear fender against the outside wall. So we're riding on board with Thomas Sink as he's chasing down Daniel Knight, and he can't seem to close the gap.
Yeah, you look at the wall out of the front window there, and you can see that, especially through those turns, that front or that catch fence there has been definitely rubbed by more than a few guys. It's got a whole streak of black marks all around it.
Brandon Walter looks to be our first truck to really take a major clobbering to that outside wall. He's in the 7th position trying to close up on Tristan Callahan in 6th, and he just hits that outside wall really hard. He's got some major right side damage now that we're going to see as he goes down the straight. Oh, yeah, and the pass for 2nd going on. That's Jared Mogard trying to make a move on Thomas Sink up ahead of them. And Jared is just sent it into the corner and forced Sink up high. He's going to do it once again and make the pass.
Yeah, one of those Dale Jr. style slide jobs as what was on the menu for Jared Mogard there. And a nice little encouraging message on the tailgate there.
Mogard's aggressiveness has been proven to be quite effective for him, as Thomas Sink now being challenged by Blaine Adams, who's trying to make up a position once again. He's now on the inside of Thomas Sink, and he's actually going to back out of it, but this means that Bradley Holly's going to get to the outside there, and this could mean that Blaine Adams could lose more positions, as Holly's going to say, no, you cannot come back up here, and Tristan Callahan sliding down to the inside of the course behind them. All manner of crazy starting to happen here.
Yeah, that's short track racing for you, especially here at Lucas Oil Raceway. When you have a track that you have to race so differently than what you do most places, it sometimes brings out a little bit of different behavior from some of the usual suspects.
Very tight there between Brandon Walter and Tristan Callahan for that 6th position. Tristan actually managing to keep the power down pretty effectively on that bottom lane. He's going to send it deep into the corner. Brandon Walter still up there on the high side, so Tristan has to get out of it. But Tristan's going to be able to rotate a little bit better out of the corner, and Brandon's going to have to give that up. So give Tristan Callahan 6th position.
One of my favorite moves here at this track, and we've seen it a few times, is those drivers that'll just sail the car off into the turn and then just let it carry itself up the track in front of the person they're trying to pass. And it's a move that has a huge risk factor, but as we've seen here, it can definitely work out for you.
Jared Mogard is not done trying to move up the field. He has closed the gap to Daniel Knight in the lead, and he's now right on his rear bumper trying to make something work here. And Jared Mogard has been very strong all season, but once again has not had the luck go his way. So as Jared Mogard challenges Daniel Knight for the lead, we're looking at this battle between Tristan Callahan, Brandon Walter, and Brendan Chatley for the 6th spot.
Yeah, there's a whole slew of trucks that are mixed up in this one. As we head back towards the front of the field, Mogard is all over the back of the 17 of Daniel Knight. As you see, Knight made a little bit of contact with the wall there, but that's kind of the name of the game here at this track.
Now remember, none of these truckers have taken pit stops yet because they only get 3 extra pairs of tires. Now, remember, this is a short track, so you're not using as much tire wear around here, but at what point do you consider it too long on these tires and you have to come into the pits? Is that right about now, or do you wait a little bit longer if we get another caution?
Well, I think another factor when you race so close to the wall here is you start to lose grip at all, and you have to be very aware of it, because once you do start to lose grip, that truck will take off into the wall when you're expecting it to be right on the ragged edge. Kind of like that.
Yeah, that was very, very tight for Mogard. And look at how much he's sending it into the corners, trying to just use the trail braking to rotate the truck. And just different strategies are necessary when you're coming into these corners, especially as the tires wear. You can see it right now in Jared Mogard's changing driving style. Now, hopping down to P10, we're going to take a look at the battle between Colton Lane and Brett Adams. These two have been fairly close together this race, and they're trying to, look at that. Colton Lane up into the outside wall pretty hard. Brett Adams actually backed out of it there.
Yeah, Colton Lane rode the wall for about half of that turn, and that's going to slow down his momentum quite a bit.
Yeah, these two are definitely trying to battle it out. Colton Lane trying to keep the pace up, but with that major contact to the wall, unfortunately, he's definitely been shown that he's definitely susceptible to the 23 of Brett Adams behind him. While we were watching this, Bradley Holly was able to make the pass on Thomas Sink for the 3rd position, so Thomas now falling back even farther, but Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink have fallen off by about 2.5 seconds to Jared Mogard in the lead.
Yeah, Daniel Knight and Jared Mogard have really driven off into the sunset with a couple second lead over the rest of the field. And Mogard seems to have calmed down a little bit. I think maybe that moment where the back end of the truck stepped out on him pretty profoundly may have been enough for him to calm it down a little bit, because he has been racing very aggressively, as is his style from week to week. But with this track, once you start racing aggressively, you are just going to eat up those tires.
And to be honest, Chris, I'd almost say that Jared is carrying too much speed through the corners, because it makes it so that he has to stay off the throttle for longer when coming out of the corners. You see how high he gets in the center of the corner, and then Jared comes off and he's actually ending up higher than Daniel Knight, and Daniel's able to pull away, especially in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. It looks like Jared's really charging the corner when he enters, but that is definitely hurting his exit, and he's starting to lose touch with Daniel Knight, I think, as a result of it.
Taking a look at that gap between them and the speeds as they go through the corner. Jared Mogard does maintain a higher speed, but let's see about the difference on the straightaway. And when Daniel Knight slows down, he's at 128. Jared Mogard also at 128 that time. Ooh, wow, Jared getting very high in the corner that time by.
Man, they just run so close to the wall here. It's a little bit unnerving if you're not used to it.
And Blaine Adams and Tristan Callahan are currently battling for the 5th position. They are side by side right now, and Blaine Adams has been trying to hold off Tristan Callahan for the last couple of laps, and Tristan trying to make it work on the bottom side, but it's just so hard to pass, and especially with this late in a tire run. They are 34 laps on their tires this time by, and Tristan Callahan just cannot get the truck to turn down there.
I'm actually really amazed that Tristan Callahan's been hanging in there as long as he has on that inside line here. As you can see, the truck just looks like it's an absolute handful to drive, but he's hanging with the 33 of Adams here on that inside groove, and that is not easy to do.
Whew.
Ooh, wow. That is not easy to do on the best moments. As you can see, the truck got a little bit away from him there.
And that's Brendan Chatley making it by on the outside in that brown machine, and Tristan Callahan now has to slot in behind them. The bottom lane just not working for him. And there's actually a 3-wide chaos going on back down in the 14th positions. This is between Matthew Aubrey, Adam Zemke, and Doug Evans, who is down there, and they are bottling up a major traffic jam behind them.
You know, this is not typically a track where you see him racing 3 wide like that. So this is obviously an exceptional case. Wow, big move there by Zemke. Ooh, and it does not work out. He ends up tagging the wall hard.
Yeah, too big of a move. He's going to keep going, but this chaos down here, this is all for the 13th and 14th positions, and all of these truckers trying to hang on. Daniel Knight's not too far behind these guys either, and he's our leader, so he's going to start to deal with traffic here. Here he goes again. Zemke with a huge dive. He's managed to keep it off the wall this time, but here comes Nicholas Hunter trying to make a move on... Sorry, that was Austin Hunter trying to make a move on Nicholas Hunter on the high side. Austin's going to be able to get that done as Zemke hits the wall again.
Yeah, hopefully he reinforced the right side of that truck, because he is laying into that wall.
So as this chaos starts to smooth out just a little bit, turns out that Adam Zemke's chaotic moves there seem to be working out for him, as he actually is able to pull away with the 13th position right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Adam. I really thought when he smacked the wall after that first attempt at a slide job there, I really thought that was game over. And then he just comes back, and the next lap he's making another pass for position.
It just shows the perseverance of some of these truckers for sure. And we're going to hop back up to the leader, Daniel Knight, because he's starting to deal with some traffic. He just got by Christopher B. Williams for the 21st position, so that puts Christopher B. Williams down a lap, and he's actually gapped Jared Mogard by about 7/10 through this traffic.
Yeah, I've kind of kept one eye on Daniel there, and he has really masterfully cut his way through all this lap traffic. He's been through some heavy chunks of it, and really has done a really good job of getting through some of the lap trucks.
So as the leaders start to run into traffic, we're going to see these gaps be sustained a little bit with these drivers. We're taking a look at the battle between Colton Lane and Brandon Walter, because they were all side by side going through the corner, and Colton Lane, I think, just was able to get by. We're going to take a look at this replay. Yeah, there we go. Colton Lane sizing up Brandon Walter there, and there you go. Just he sends it deep into the corner, and then he's actually able to get off of the corner better because he slows it down. He woes it up a lot faster than Brandon Walter, and Brandon just couldn't come back at him. We have another pass going on right now. This is with Tristan Callahan and Charles Sumner up there for the 8th position. This is just ahead of those two guys that just had a pass.
Yeah, Tristan Callahan's really been one of those guys that have been digging on that bottom line here at Lucas Oil Raceway, and the rear end of that truck stepped out big time there. So obviously tires are going away here as we're 43 laps into the first run. And you got to think Tristan Callahan's probably going to be one of the top people hoping for tires.
Yeah, Tristan's going to want some tires because he's trying to get some speed out of these corners, but he cannot do it on the bottom side like that. So he's really struggling. Oh, there we go. Charles Sumner into the outside wall just a little bit there. And that might give Tristan Callahan the push he needs to try and complete the pass. Let's see whether he sends it deep into 3. He does, and he slides up to that high lane just a little bit. He does leave room for Charles Sumner, but he's able to complete the move.
I will say, Adam, I am loving all these patriotic paint schemes. Even Charles Sumner and his orange juice machine went red, white, and blue today.
4th of July coming up very shortly for us, and we're taking a look at a beautiful paint scheme. I mean, it's just awesome to see some of these paint schemes out here with these drivers paying tribute to the country for sure. Charles Sumner is not done trying to challenge Tristan Callahan for that position, but I just think Tristan's pulling away a little bit much. That is Blaine Adams trying to make the move on Doyle Lawrence up ahead of him, and that's actually slowing him down a bit. Tristan Callahan has experience on that low side. Expect him to make a move here. Here he goes. He's going to try and make the pass on Blaine Adams.
Yeah, of everybody out there, I think Tristan Callahan's really been the one to make the most moves down there on the bottom of the track. And that's not an easy way to do things. I mean, not at all. So very interested to see how he hangs on.
And actually, our leaders are very tight together, and this all has to do with traffic that they ran into. Jared Mogard has very much tightened up the gap to Daniel Knight, but he cannot get off the corners very well. Jared Mogard in that double O machine, the double zero machine, just really is struggling to rotate. Oh my goodness, Daniel Knight almost put 3 wide there. Here goes Jared Mogard. They might go 4 wide into the corner. Mogard is going to make it 3 wide as he takes the middle line. Oh my goodness, this is tight racing. Nicholas Hunter up to the high side, and they're going to make contact off the corner. No, Mogard manages to keep it out of him. Daniel Knight retains the lead. That was close stuff.
I can't believe our leader just split the difference between 2 lap trucks. Then our top 2 went 3 wide with a lap truck, and nobody crashed. This is insane.
That was some amazing racing from our leaders and our lap trucks, for everyone staying in their place and being respectful of the other drivers. And it ended up being a fantastic race with them. We're going to drop back down to Blaine Adams, who's under heavy pressure still from Tristan Callahan, Charles Sumner, and Colton Lane now has joined the party.
Ooh, Callahan smacking the wall there. You got to think that truck's got to be just about racing on cords right now.
This is what's so beautiful about this racetrack. It really, you have to muscle your way around this thing. You have to wrangle your truck, wrangle your machine, and try and get it to turn. It is such finesse on the wheels, and here we go. Tristan Callahan making the move on Blaine Adams. He's going to try and keep his foot in it. Cannot do so. Charles Summers going to try and follow him through here. Ooh, man, this is close stuff.
Yeah, you're right, Adam. This really is what short track racing is all about. This is... Oh, we have a caution on the track.
And that is Nicholas Hunter. Nicholas Hunter has gone around on the front stretch. Nicholas Hunter in the 109 machine, all the way back in 23rd spot now. He was coming off of the corner, and he gets hit by the 85, who wasn't expecting him to hold up that much. We're going to take a look at this replay. Yeah, you saw it there coming off the corner. Here's the 85 truck right on the bottom side, and Nicholas Hunter on the high side, and he just carries a little bit too much speed. He has to back out of it, and the 85 truck gets into his left rear quarter panel, not expecting him to slow up that much. That was Aaron Webb in the 85. And Nicholas goes around. Hopefully not too much damage to the front end or that engine. And most of the drivers are in pit road now.
I gotta say, for how intense the racing was during, especially the last few laps of that run, Adam, I'm almost disappointed that the caution was drawn by such an innocuous little spin.
I agree, but I would have expected these drivers to come in for pit stops fairly shortly. So I'd expect we would have had a break in the action regardless, but this way we get to see them bunched up again. And since all these drivers know how hard it is to make passes around here, I'd expect this restart to be one of the crazier ones.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some chaos going on here in the not too distant future.
So it looks like Charles Sumner decided to pit the next lap around, so he has just come to the pit lane. Daniel Knight will retain the lead. Jared Mogard still in second. And Bradley Hawley will move up to the third spot with Thomas Sink in fourth. Brendan Shatley in fifth once everything sorts out here.
So this was kind of a nice change of pace from what we had last week, Adam. We're working lap 55 right now, only on our second caution.
Yeah, we're almost to halfway with only our second caution, and both of them seem like they were a little bit of misunderstandings between drivers, and it didn't seem like ill-advised moves or anything like that, just drivers not expecting another driver to slow up as much. And so here we are with having seen some fantastic racing out there, some good respect from all of the drivers. This is a great race so far.
This has been an amazing race. I mean, this racetrack really brings out the best, especially in these type of vehicles. This track really is what short track racing is all about. It's tough to drive, it's tough to pass, it's tough to race, but it's always great action here at Lucas Oil. And I think this racetrack is just pure, unadulterated short track racing.
So the two trucks you see up ahead of Daniel Knight there, that is Mike Richter and Nicholas Schwartz. They will get the wave around when the time comes. Mike Richter decided actually to pit, so Nick Schwartz will get the wave around. Nicholas Schwartz is still on 55 at lap old tires, so Nicholas is hoping for another caution for sure in order to make sure that he's able to get into pits. So he will wave around the pace car right now, and the trucks will line up double file again. So as they run, Daniel Knight leads with Jared Mogard lining up outside of him. Bradley Hawley will line up behind the leader with Thomas Sink on the outside. Brendan Chatley, Tristan Callahan, Blaine Adams, Colton Lane, Brandon Walter, and John LaBaff round out your top 10 as we get ready to take the green flag once again. The Mustang pace car is off. Daniel Knight will lead them to the green. Let's see whether he takes the same strategy he did before. He's way on the outside. He dives it down to the inside and puts the power in. Bradley Hawley read that one like a book, and he's able to jump Jared Mogard on the restart. He still hasn't cleared him yet, but as they go into turn one, he tries to clear him, unable to do so. Mogard fighting very hard on the outside. Now Bradley's able to clear him. Bradley Hawley up to second place.
I tell you, Adam, that went nothing like I expected, with Jared Mogard being able to start in the preferred line. Oh, and we have another caution on the speedway.
This is John LaBaff in the 911 truck. He is off towards the inside of the lane, entering turn 3. This one is coming out of turn 2. We're going to see it live on screen here. This is between the 99 and the 911. Looks like the 99 just kind of came up the track, unfortunately. I'm going to take a look above one more time.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you bunch the field up, the old adage of cautions breeding cautions comes true.
So unfortunately, that's just a stroke of bad luck for the 911 of John LaBaff. LaBaff will be in pit lane getting some fresh tires. That will be his second fresh set out of 3, so he'll have one more to get him through to the end of the race. And this was not a track that I expected to be talking about the tire allotment at, but it seems like, especially for John LaBaff, that might come into play. And if we get another caution halfway through this second run, it could definitely come into play as well, Chris.
Yeah, I figured with the way this track has to be driven, I feel like the tires would play a role. I didn't think maybe it would be the tire limit that would be the factor here, but definitely thought tires were going to play a role.
Well, it's awesome seeing Tristan Callahan battling very hard on that low side throughout most of that last stint. I think Tristan has a leg up on the rest of the competition by being forced down there and being down there for so long. He's going to have a better understanding than most of them on how to race that low line, either to defend or to attack as we get later on in this final half of the race.
Yeah, it really seemed like he was the only driver out in the field that was able to make that bottom line work effectively. There definitely was a few people that tried it, but I don't think anybody had anywhere near the results that Tristan Callahan has so far.
Okay, so here is another interesting factor. Bradley Hawley made the leap over Jared Mogard to get into that second position, but that means he's lining up on the outside of Daniel Knight going into this next restart. Is that a disadvantage for Bradley?
It's really going to depend on how good he responds to whatever Daniel Knight does for a restart. Daniel Knight has the advantage of deciding when he fires off, but he really is not in the preferred groove going into turn 1, which was what was so surprising to me. Is I really thought Jared Mogard was going to be able to fire off and take it to Daniel Knight, and instead he actually lost a position because of how well Daniel Knight fired off on that restart and how well Bradley Hawley telegraphed the move and was able to stick right with him.
My favorite part about the new tire allotment in iRacing is we only had one pit stop this caution, and that was from John LaBaff after his spin. And that means you don't see half the field diving down the pit lane to take fresh tires even after just one lap. So as the pace car crosses the line, the lights will go off and the trucks will line up side by side one more time here. Bradley Hawley now on the outside with Jared Mogard lining up behind the leader. Thomas Sink in 4th, Brendan Chatley in 5th. Tristan Callahan, Colton Lane, Blaine Adams, Brandon Walter, and Austin Hunter will round out your top 10 coming to green. As they head down the backstretch, the Mustang pace car will pull off. And that will leave the field in the hands of Daniel Knight. Will he try something different? He will wait as they go through 3. What will he do in turn 4? Oh, he launches early and catches Bradley Holly by surprise. Jared Mogart as well, who's actually had trouble getting power down coming out of the corner. That holds up Thomas Sink on the bottom side, on the high side as well. Tristan Callahan goes to the bottom trying to make the pass on Thomas, but unable to do so. Colton Lane on the outside in the 6th position. And here we go. Going on, Daniel Knight leads him down towards turn 3.
Well, Daniel Knight with another great restart, but he's got Bradley Holly lurking in his tire tracks right now. Holly is definitely sizing him up to make a move.
Brendan Chatley got stuck on the bottom side. Plenty of trucks passing him. He's all the way back to 7th position. But look at this. Bradley Holly is, like you said, sizing up Daniel Knight. He definitely is considering now is the time to try and get by Daniel. Jared Morgard tucked in that 3rd spot right behind them. Thomas Sink has actually lost a little bit of ground to him, about half a second back. But look at this. Bradley Holly looking at the low side. We have another caution.
I feel like I regret mentioning that we only had 2 cautions.
This was Matthew Aubrey in the 95 machine, and this was a single truck incident coming off of turn 2. Ends up spinning up the rear tires a little bit and major contact with that inside wall.
Yeah, looks like he might have just put the power down a little bit before the truck was ready for it.
So Matthew Aubrey will come to the pit lane. That will most likely be his day done, unfortunately. And this will put us under what I believe is our 4th caution.
We don't add them out. While we do have a quick second, I do want to mention the Arca Menard series will actually be racing at the real Lucas Oil Raceway Friday night, and they are going to allow people in the grandstands. Tickets are available online. If you do have the opportunity in the greater Indianapolis area, I would definitely recommend going and checking out this track in person this weekend.
Well, while we are under this caution flag, we'll take this moment to take a short break. We'll be back for you to make sure that we hit the green flag when the pace car does come down. So we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, sponsored by Diecast Kings. Daniel Knight is about to lead them to the green after their 4th caution, and the pace car will pull off, and Daniel Knight took them very early through turn 4 last time. What will he do this time? He's going to wait a little bit longer. No, he doesn't. He actually jumps at the apex of 3 and 4. This time Bradley Holly got a much better jump and might be able to cross him over before they enter 1. This is going to be very tight going into the corner. Bradley Holly thinks better of it. Jared Mogard following them in 3rd, but the battle is for 4th, 5th, and 6th between That's Thomas Sink, Tristan Callahan, and Colton Lane as they exit 1 and 2. Ooh, very hard hit for Colton Lane.
Yeah, Colton Lane in that Penske AMC Matador look-alike paint scheme definitely made some hard contact there.
Jared Mogart taking a look for just 1 second on Bradley Holly for the second position, but nothing doing. Colton Lane, you can see that front clip damaged on the front right of that machine on the onboard that we're taking a look at from the roof. He's lost a little bit of front end speed. You can tell from how he's following Tristan Callahan into the corner. Tristan Callahan getting a little bit high there. Oh, we have contact in the background. That's another truck around. That is Brendan Chatley, I believe. And major contact from a couple of trucks, including Nicholas Hunter and Doyle Lawrence.
Yeah, Doyle mentioning in the audio chat, he just had nowhere to go and ended up stacking into the incident. Some hurt feelings on this one, Adam.
Yeah, this is Blaine Adams just pushing tight through the corner. Looks like he snapped a little bit loose on entry and had to wash up. And unfortunately, the 59 truck of Brendan Chatley was right there. And Doyle Lawrence, major contact right there. That is going to hurt.
Yeah, that was 2 big hits.
And here comes Doyle Lawrence. Oh my goodness, that is just shocking.
Yeah, a hit like that'll knock your fillings loose.
And that is why we have Hans devices. Well, that will put us under caution one more time. 20 laps on this stint of tires, but unfortunately, not many race laps. I think we've probably gotten about 3 race laps in total since they came in for the pit stop. Currently on lap 75 of 115, still on track to finish on time. So these drivers should be able to get all the laps in, provided we are able to get a stretch of green shortly.
Yeah, unfortunately, these cautions all happening in quick succession keep munching the field up. And I think it's also got everybody feeling a little more manic. It almost seemed like, especially up front with the top 5 or 6 trucks after we took the green that last time, these guys were racing with a bit more fire than they had been.
Yeah, and you can see that definitely as evidence in the back of the pack as well. As these cautions tend to be a little bit more prolific around here, the drivers start to realize that their track position is more important than ever. And so they start fighting harder for positions and they start taking bigger risks. And what does that do? It creates more cautions, which compounds the problem. So here we are running lap 76. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, yeah, that's another product of short track racing, too. When you have everybody bunched up like that, there's really not a lot of room to get away from each other.
So Daniel Knight has had a very good jump on Bradley Holly, but Bradley seems to be starting to pick up on the games from Daniel Knight. He got his best restart onto the last restart and was able to tuck in very close behind Daniel Knight on the last restart. So things getting very interesting here, as it looks like the pace lights are going to go out this time by, so a shorter caution this time, which is fantastic for us as the viewers and them as the racers, as the pace lights go out. So as they head down the backstretch, the Mustang pace car will pull away once again, and we will get back to racing. Daniel Knight this time has Bradley Holly on the outside, Jared Mogart in 3rd, Thomas Sink 4th, and Tristan Callahan in 5th. Here they go, entering turn 3. When will Daniel Knight jump? He's waiting a little bit longer than he did last time. Much longer. And now he jumps, and he does catch Bradley Holly by surprise. Jared Mogart with a fantastic restart on the inside is able to pull up ahead of Bradley Holly. Tristan Callahan trying to follow Jared Mogart through. Oh, contact with Thomas Sink, who gets pushed to the outside wall. Looks like everyone is able to keep going straight, but Thomas Sink, with major contact with that outside wall, has now fallen way back in the field. The top 3, though, away and clean.
Daniel Knight has been the master of all of these restarts we've had. We're going to take a look back at Thomas Sink here and what happened when his race went a little bit sideways here. You can see he doesn't quite get the greatest restart and allows the 77 of Callahan to get through. As Callahan slides up, Callahan apparently thought he was clear and just catches him with the right rear quarter of his truck and unfortunately sent the 48 for a ride into the wall.
So Sink now straight and narrow, but he's just ahead of a big mess down there. Colton Lane in the 60 truck is going completely backwards. We're going to jump back to the lead because Daniel Knight is under heavy pressure from Jared Mogard.
And don't look now, but you also got Tristan Callahan there up to the 4th spot, watching and waiting here for something to happen. He's been the one driver that's made that inside line work, so he could be a threat here in the closing laps. But Jared Mogard definitely deserves an attaboy for the way he handled that restart. He literally kept his truck just about glued to the back bumper of Daniel Knight. And when Knight fired off and caught a lot of people off guard, Jared was probably the only person that was able to telegraph that restart.
Just in that rear view of Jared Mogard, you're seeing the front clip of Bradley Holly. Bradley has been decent this race, but not as strong as we've seen him at the other tracks. So I'll be interested to see whether or not he can find his way to the lead. But Jared Mogard and Daniel Knight very strong right now.
Oh, it looks like we have a caution on the speedway here, Adam.
This was between Blaine Adams and John LeBaff. Two trucks were involved in cautions in previous laps as well. Oh, this actually starts with the 44 truck up ahead of them. This was Nicholas Schwartz who ends up getting high. And he ends up collecting the 98 truck of Charles Sumner. We're going to see it here as they enter 1 and 2. Oh, man, yeah. So that ends up slowing up Charles Sumner, and that ends up sending John LeBaff down the track to try and avoid it, and that's what ends up collecting. So we're going to jump on board with Nicholas Hunter in the 109 truck. He's going to see it all happen up ahead of him here. Just nowhere to go.
Yeah, that's really, I feel for the 33 of Blaine Adams. He was not involved in an incident at all and just barely got caught. That's probably going to ruin his race.
So lap 84, we'll be coming to lap 85 this time by, and that actually takes out 4 of our mid-running trucks. That is Blaine Adams, Charles Sumner, John LeBaff, and Nicholas Hunter, who are all running in the top 15 positions. They are now with major damage, and most of them took toes down to pit lane. So we've had some decent attrition this race as well. So far we have I believe it is 6 trucks out of this race right now, and adding those other 4, that would be 10 if none of them could come back out on track. This has been a rough race for some drivers, Chris.
Yeah, that's short track racing for you, unfortunately. These guys are not afraid to lean on each other at this type of track, and that doesn't always have the best results.
So Jared Mogard had a great start because he started right in behind Daniel Knight. And this time, Bradley Holly will start in behind Daniel Knight on that bottom lane. So the positions have swapped once again. And Mogard was not able to get as good of starts as Bradley Holly has been able to on that outside lane historically over the course of this race. So really fascinating to see how they battle going down into 1 and 2.
I really think Colton Lane has the speed. If he's able to keep with Daniel Knight on the restart, I really think Colton Lane could have a chance at making a pass for the lead. But he's got to be as on it reacting to that restart as he was the last one. He's starting in the preferred line, and that does give him position on Daniel Knight if he's able to keep alongside him heading into turn 1.
I think the driver you're referencing is Jared Mogard in that U car. Bradley Holly tucked in 3rd and Tristan Callahan in 4th. Colton Lane was one of the drivers involved in the incident prior to this one. He unfortunately is down in the 22nd position, still taking repairs on pit road. He's been there for 3 minutes, unfortunately. So Colton Lane just having some trouble on track, but it looks like the pace lights are going to go out this time by as we're riding on the nose of that U car and U truck rather. And so the pace car will pull off this time. Daniel Knight will lead them to the green flag. Jared Mogard lined up outside of him. Bradley Holly tucked in behind the leader, with Tristan Callahan lined up on the outside in the 2nd row. Austin Hunter, Brett Adams, Thomas Sink, Brandon Walter, Doug Evans, and Nicholas Schwartz will round out your top 10. As the pace car pulls off and dives down to pit lane, Daniel Knight will lead them to the green one more time. Where does he decide to go, early or late this time? Let's see. It's late. He jumps now, and he catches everybody off guard, but Bradley Holly gets the better of it. But they're going to be side by side. Jared Mogard and Bradley Holly for the second spot going into turn one. Bradley trying to take it as deep into the corner as he can, as low as he can, and try and get the power off. But Jared Mogard with a great line, able to clear him, and he will take that second spot.
Mogard not able to get the restart that he needed, but was at least able to hang on to that second spot. And he got a pretty good run now on the back of Daniel Knight.
Jared Mogard definitely looking to try and make a move here. He dives down to the inside. He's going to look to the inside here, but he just can't get the truck to turn, unfortunately. He has to back out of it as Daniel Knight actually comes down to that middle lane, exiting the corner. Here comes Bradley Holly with a head of steam tucked in behind him as well, and he's not going to be able to do anything of it. They're going to be nose to tail all the way out as they exit 4.
Mogard very easily could have stayed in it and just moved Daniel Knight up the track. It was a tremendous amount of respect and restraint from Jared Mogard to keep his truck off of the 17th.
And Brett Adams with that extremely damaged race truck in the 8th position, still trying to drive around, but he's holding up a lot of trucks behind him as this battle for the lead still hot there. Bradley Holly trying to make something work, but you can see the back end of that truck getting very loose as he follows Jared Mogard into 1.
Yeah, Bradley Holly looks to be beginning to make a run there as he is closed up on the back of Mogard for that position.
Bradley Holly looking for a good exit. He's going to get a little bit of a decent... Oh, man, they both got good exits there, Mogard and Holly. Holly was trying to get a little bit lower there. Mogard carrying a little bit more speed into the corner, as we've seen all race. Daniel Knight being a little bit more conservative on corner entry, but he seems to get a decent corner exit regardless, which means he's spending less of his tires on each of these corners and still getting decent results. But look how tight they are between these top 3. They are bumper to bumper.
Yeah, nose to tail our top 3. And that's going to make for a very nervous Jared Mogard there, the meat in the sandwich, so to speak.
Bradley Holly just looking for an opportunity, looking for a moment where Mogard has to break because of how close he is behind Daniel Knight. Mogard actually falls away from him just a little bit through that corner, and here comes Tristan Callahan to join the battle as well in that 4th position, looking on. He's got his eyes set on possibly a podium here tonight. Bradley Holly, look at that. Bradley Holly, Jared Mogard carrying so much speed through the corners. They're 4-wheel sliding these things as they go through 1 and 2. They know how little time is left. They're going to be coming around to 21 to go this time by, with Daniel Knight in the lead. Jared Mogard 2nd, Bradley Holly 3rd, Tristan Callahan in 4th, and Nicholas Hunter about a second back in 5th.
Yeah, Tristan Callahan, after dropping back early on in this one, has put in a lot of work to get back up in contention. You got to think if anyone deserves to be up there, it's definitely him.
Tristan has earned his way to the front 4, sure. Ooh, look at this. Jared Mogard down to the bottom of the track, trying to possibly surprise Daniel Knight, but what is that going to do as far as compromising his exit? Apparently nothing, because Bradley Holly cannot close the gap. So Jared Mogard, he's trying everything right now to try and get to the back of Daniel Knight.
And you also see Daniel Knight making a more abrupt corner exit. He's actually riding the wall through entrance and the middle of the turn, and then kind of driving it down the track a little bit on corner exit.
While these drivers have calmed down a little bit, never mind. Here comes Bradley Holly on Jared Mogard. He's definitely took a look there into the corner. They're going to go bumper to bumper once again as they go through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Bradley Holly all over the back of that 00 truck, just picking his battle there, maybe waiting for just the right time to make the move.
Just the right time might be coming up, because that's the lap truck of Nicholas Hunter in that 109, who's going to stay to the bottom of the track, but this could compromise the exit of these trucks if they're not careful. Jared Mogard takes him a little bit high into the corner. Bradley Holly just hanging out on that left rear, trying to get Jared Mogard's truck a little bit loose, possibly with some aerodynamic push there. Jared Mogard very high through 3 and 4. This could be the opportunity Bradley Holly needs.
Holly not able to capitalize. Mogard swings a little bit loose off of 4. Looks like he may have tagged the wall with the rear quarter, but nonetheless, Bradley Holly still staying in his tire tracks. Tristan Callahan in that 77, just waiting for one of them to slip up.
And while we do have a moment, I do want to go down for the battle for 10th position, because that's a hot one between Nicholas Schwartz, Doug Evans, Adam Zemke, and Charles Sumner. They are very, very tight on track, and they have been bottled up like this for about 3 laps now, and nobody seems to be able to get an advantage as we see Nicholas Schwartz finally be able to clear him.
Yeah, Aaron Webb is mixed up in that, as well as Sumner and Hilton. And we know that 42 Zemke is not afraid to make any bold moves himself.
And this is just the greatness of the short track racing. All these battles happening on track, and this is a massive 6-7 truck battle down there for the 10th position. They're all so tight together.
And I don't think there's very many straight panels on any of these trucks right now, Adam.
Definitely not, as look at that. They're just all side by side, tucked in there. Nicholas Schwartz trying to hang it out on that outside. Ooh, man, he hits the wall, and now we have a truck in the grass. Let's see whether or not he can hang on to it. That was Mike Richter. And we're going to stay green here as the pass for second place might be happening right now. Bradley Hawley with a great advantage on Jared Mogard going through 1 and 2. He just could not keep his foot in it coming through the corner. Mogard able to hang on to it for that corner. Bradley Hawley with a good rotation puts the bumper to Mogard a little bit. Coming off the corner, Mogard able to keep it straight. Both of them wiggle out.
We got to give a huge call to the 42 Adam Zemke for going all the way off the track into the inside wall. Still keeping it pointed straight as we have the 184. Holly looking to the inside of Mogard once again. These trucks are not driving very nice right now, as you can see, but these guys are absolutely duking it out on track for that runner-up position.
Bradley with a great exit. He's right there on that left rear quarter panel. He decides not to send it into the corner, but he might make a little bit of contact with Mogard. It pushes him a little bit high up. He's going to hit him once again. He backs out of it to make sure that he doesn't spin Mogard because of how sensitive that left rear quarter panel is. That's going to be the end of his attempt right there for this moment.
And Bradley Holly himself could have made a pretty harsh move there to the 00. Gives him a chance to get it gathered up, so you got to respect the sportsmanship there by the 184.
But Bradley's got to be kicking himself because all this fighting with Jared Mogard is allowing Daniel Knight to snake away with the lead. He's up to 1 second now as he's going to try and make his way around the 33 of Blaine Adams. That truck is severely damaged, has not been behaving very well as Daniel Knight goes by him. Jared Mogard and Bradley Holly still duking it out, and Tristan Callahan just cannot seem to close the gap to Bradley. Wow, look at that. Bradley Holly and Jared Mogard, different lines, very much so, entering 1 and 2. This could be an interesting battle as they go down the back stretch. Bradley's trying everything to get by Jared at this point.
And you got to think that 17 of Daniel Knight's looking in his mirror and absolutely loving what he's seeing behind him.
And it's 9 to go this time by as Jared Mogard holds off Bradley Holly for the second position. Oh, more of a bumper there to Jared Mogard. Holly has to back out of it once again. Otherwise, he would have sent Mogard straight into the wall. Both of them able to hang on to it. Very gentlemanly driving from Bradley Holly tonight.
Yeah, these two drivers showing a lot of respect to each other when very easily one of them could be moving the other one.
A little bit of front clip damage for Bradley Holly. Bradley, though, if this gets in towards the latter parts of this race, and we are there, 8 to go this time by. Once this gets under 5 to go, don't expect Bradley to back out of those moves anymore, but he might have the run here. He's very close in behind him. He's actually going to look to that bottom side. Jared Mogard tries to carry the speed in. Bradley Holly trying to get the rotation through the corner. He can't quite get it. Jared can't quite get the power down either. They're still going to be side by side as they cross the line.
That's got to be the most frustrating part about racing here at Lucas Oil. You can get to him on the inside, but it's so hard to make the pass. It's by the time Bradley Holly gets him clear, he may be too little too late to try to make a move for the lead.
Jared Mogard holding strong on that outside. They are just separated paper thin apart by these two. Jared Mogard holding strong on the outside. Bradley Holly challenging on the inside. This is the closest battle we've seen for the longest amount of time today. And these two very close together. Jared Mogard almost a little bit too high through the corner, but he's going to be able to get a better run out. Bradley Holly unable to make the pass. Daniel Knight snaking away 2 seconds now in the lead. Bradley Holly having to back out of it a little bit. Jared still hanging on the outside. They're still going to be side by side. Another lap down. They're going to come to 6 to go rather this time by.
Mogard is just doing a tremendous job on that outside line, holding off the 184. But these guys have raced this hard for about 3 laps now and not made any contact.
Unbelievable racing from these two. Jared Mogard, oh, he sends it really deep. He's going to almost make contact with that outside wall. Bradley sends it deep as well. They're almost going to make contact exiting the corner. They're both going to slide off, and they're still going to be side by side. 4 to go.
Mogard into the wall, but Holly not able to capitalize yet. We'll see how it goes on corner exit.
Oh,
and Mogard smacks the wall again going down the back straightaway, and they still stay side by side, Adam.
Unbelievable stuff from Morgard, keeping his foot in it. Oh, a little bit of a bounce off, and that's going to end the battle. Unfortunately, Bradley Holly and Jared Mogard hitting one another, but now Mogard's battle is not done. Tristan Callahan now on his inside, and we know how strong he is on the inside of these corners, but that's the 42 of Adam Zemke who's up there, and Tristan Callahan has to back out of it. 3 to go, 2 to go this time for Daniel Knight, our leader.
Yeah, Mogard does a great job using the lap truck of Adam Zemke as a pick. Keeps the 77 behind him, but with just a couple laps left, and maybe that double zero's had a couple trips into the wall, this may be Callahan's spot to capitalize on.
But Daniel Knight, after holding off drivers multiple times, so many different restarts, Daniel Knight is going to cross the line for the white flag. He only has 4 more corners to go in order to take the win here at Lucas Oil and take the provisional points lead away from Bradley Holly. Daniel Knight with such a consistent drive out there out front. He's been able to put in the work where it needs to be done, taking the battles where he's needed to have them. And as Daniel Knight exits turn 4, he will win here at the Lucas Oil Raceway for the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. Bradley Holly comes home in second, Jared Mogard third, and Tristan Callahan fourth. What a battle, Chris, especially for those top 2 positions. Bradley Holly and Jared Mogard battling tooth and nail for almost 6 laps side by side. What a way to end this race.
That was just a tremendous race between all of our drivers in the top 4. And really, this whole group of drivers put on a great show here today.
Well, as Daniel Knight does burnouts, that will take us to a short break, but don't go anywhere. We will have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews for you shortly after the break, so don't go away. Welcome back to the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series here at Lucas Oil Speedway, sponsored by Diecast Kings. And what a phenomenal race we had to finish out, especially that last stint to finish out this race. But Daniel Knight comes home with his second win of the season, 2 in a row for Daniel. Holding off Bradley Holly, was able to gap him because of the battle between Bradley and Jared Mogard. Both of those fantastic drivers tonight, coming home second and third. Tristan Callahan just could not get back up to Jared Mogard after having the lap truck of, I believe that was Adam Zemke, unfortunately getting in the way of that battle. But then Austin Hunter coming home in the 5th position. Thomas Sink comes home in 6th after getting unceremoniously sent towards the outside wall on the beginning of that last restart. Brandon Walter will come home in 7th place with Aaron Webb. A quiet day for him. Well, probably not quiet, but we didn't talk about him that much. Coming up to the 8th position, Charles Sumner will hold on for 9th, and Doug Evans makes his way up to 10th.
Brett Adams breaks even on the day, started 11th, finishes 11th. Nicholas Schwartz started from 25th in the field, makes it up to 12th. I believe that's going to make him one of our hard chargers for the day. And Barrett Hilton completes our lead lap competitors in the 13th position. Then you have Adam Zemke, Mark Kalin, and Brody Green all 1 lap down. Christopher B. Williams in 17th, 2 laps down, along with Mike Richter. Then Blaine Adams 19th, 3 laps down, and Nicholas Hunter completes the top 20, 4 laps off the pace.
And then we get to the drivers who really had some serious problems, like John LaBaff, Colton Lane, Brendan Chatley, Doyle Lawrence, Adam Young, Matthew Aubrey, and Adam Shane. And then Matthew Williford did not start the race. And we have our winner tonight, Daniel Knight, who's going to come down and talk to us. Daniel, you had a fantastic race today, and you seem to have a lot of time to work on those restarts, but you seem to pull it off every single time. Talk to us about what your mentality was when you came to the green all 6 of those times.
Well, honestly, it felt a lot like dirt track racing, starting in the middle of the corner and dive to the inside and get a good run off. I mean, the outside lane is definitely the preferred one. So I just had to use my ability to go when I needed to go and try to get in front of those guys to my advantage. And that's all I needed to do. I knew if I could clear them the outside lane by entry into 1, that I'd at least have a fighting chance if we were racing.
And Daniel, it's not often that we get to say that someone has the pace on Bradley Hawley, but you seem to definitely have it tonight. Bradley was unable to climb up to you, especially in the second to last run and this last run. Where do you think that you were better than him?
I think definitely the track position helped a lot, just because my fastest line was diamonding the corners quite a bit, and that's really hard to do when you got trucks around you. So I think if it had been he and I right up there the whole time, that he would have been a lot closer to me than if he had been fighting through traffic. So I just knew that if I got out into the lead, my plan was just to hold it at all costs and keep that clean air and room to run the line that I needed to run.
Daniel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your 2nd win in a row. And considering the fact that you have so much momentum right now, what are your hopes for the championship this season?
I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself, but I would love to finish really high this year. Had a lot of bad luck last season that I didn't get a lot of that hurt me as far as the championship points go. But hopefully I can just stay consistent and earn as many points as I can. Hopefully be there for the end of your championship after next season.
Well, Daniel, another fantastic finish for you, taking the win here tonight at Lucas Oil Speedway, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it.
That was Daniel Knight, our 1st place finisher, and Chris Phoebe has caught up with our 2nd place finisher, Bradley Hawley.
Well, Bradley, that was quite a battle you had going there for a good chunk of the race between yourself and Jared Mogard. How do you guys battle it out on a short track like this for that many laps side by side?
Honestly, I don't know. I felt like I may have been saving my tires a little bit, and then it was playing the games of who can crowd the other the most.
Now, this seemed like a little bit more of a difficult race for you than some you've had in the past. It looks like Daniel Knight was tremendous on those restarts. What kind of goes into your thought process trying to telegraph a restart like that?
Well, since he could have restarted in the corner, he had a big advantage over pretty much everybody in the first couple rows just on being on the inside. So the times I was on the outside, I tried to mark it or time it just right, and one time I got it wrong, and then when I was in 3rd, just tried to stay under his bumper to try to get to 2nd.
Now we're a few weeks into this season here, and looks like Daniel Knight may be the favorite to try to unseat you from the championship. What goes through your mind when you kind of have to switch from being on offense to defense in the championship hunt?
Oh, it's no different. I mean, As long as I'm, the way I look at it is, if I can stay consistent, I have a good chance of, reclaiming the championship or giving Knight a run for his money.
Very good. That's our runner-up tonight, Bradley Holly in truck number 184.
And next up, we'll be talking to Austin Hunter, who finished in the 5th place today. Austin, very eventful race for those of you towards the mid-pack and climbing up to the top 5. Talk me through your race today.
Well, it was a great night for me for sure. Starting from 19th, pull it up to the top 5 there was definitely a great night for me and for rescue racing.
Yeah, you definitely were able to make a lot of moves, but talk me through that spell of cautions in the middle. How did that affect your psyche, especially with the fact that the laps were winding down, especially with how hard it was to pass around here?
It was definitely affecting me. I was trying not to get too much into it, but I just kept getting stuck on the bottom. I think almost every restart except for 1 or 2, I was on the bottom and just kept moving forward, inching forward, and trying to miss the accidents when I could.
And Austin, talk to me about your tires towards the end of that first long green flag run. We were going for about 50 laps on those tires, and it seemed like everyone was struggling. We saw you struggling a little bit too. How hard was it to turn that truck out there?
It was tough. It reminded me of rain racing and karting. You just turned into the corner and pray that it would eventually bite, and they just wanted to snap loose on you on exit. Tires held on pretty well, still 70-75% at the end of the run there. So I was overall impressed, but definitely a tight truck at the entry of the corner.
Well, Austin, a hard-fought race where you climbed quite a few positions up to 5th position after starting 19th. Fantastic top 5. Is there anyone else you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I definitely want to thank you guys. GSRC always puts on a fantastic broadcast. The Precision Racing League for putting together such a great league. Established traffic control, Roman Delight, Inline 309, American Breadcrumb Company, and all my friends and teammates at Rescue Racing. We raise money for 2 animal shelters, Philly Paws and the Camo Animal Rescue that I have on my truck. We're always accepting sponsors and donations at rescue-racing.com. Thanks to y'all and my wife for letting me get on here every Wednesday night with our infant. So thank you guys for having us.
And thanks for talking to us too, Austin. We look forward to talking to you later this season. And that is going to do us for tonight. And while Austin gave his thanks, we also want to give our thanks to the Precision Racing League for bringing us on for another season. And a big thank you to the season's sponsors, which is going to be Diecast Kings, and also the race sponsor for this race, which was Ford Entertainment Group PC, for sponsoring this round. You want to make sure to visit them at fegpc.net. Also, we want to thank the ButtKicker for sponsoring PRL as a league as a whole. They've been doing a great job for that over the last couple of years. I want to give a big thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast that are listed here on your screen. As always, many thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our awesome music. See the screen to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to today's crew, Sean, Chris, and Dougie. If you want to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find us at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Grand. If you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. The link is in the description below. And if you want to see more of that racing action, make sure that big red subscribe button turns gray today and hit that bell so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Next race is going to be at Kentucky Speedway, a very different track. That's going to be next week, July 8th at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. We hope you've enjoyed joining us tonight as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back on our channel soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.